There are three things that I've identified that almost everybody does that is causing 50 to 60% of all the pain that I treat. These three things are sitting in a chair, sitting in a car, and sitting at a computer. And if you simply do these three things slightly different, half your pain does not want to come back. So, let's talk about sitting first. So there's only two ways to sit in the chair. On the edge and straight like this. And everybody tells you that's the way you should be sitting. Well, my answer to this is certainly the way you should be looking. Nice and straight and perfectly aligned. Unfortunately, sitting like this is not all that easy because in order for me to sit like this, I'm engaging my muscles to hold my bones in this position. Now, for short periods of time, this is fine, 10 or 15 minutes, sometimes a little longer. But for most people, after 10 or 15 minutes, your muscles are going to feel pretty darn sore. So if you start getting sore and your muscles are getting tight, then that's pulling you crooked. So sitting like this will eventually make you tight, sore, and crooked. So the other way to sit is the way most of us sit, kind of slumped in our chair like this. You know, and everybody tells you this is bad for you, and it is. But you know, it's fine up to a half an hour or so. But what's actually happening here, as soon as I slump in my chair, my low back gets rounded out and my head gets pushed forward. In this position, my muscles are working awful hard to try to hold me up. So after about a half an hour doing this, those muscles are going to start to get tight and sore. And when they do get tight and sore, they're going to pull me crooked too. So either position, whether straight like this or slumped in my chair like this, will eventually make me tight, sore, and crooked. So what I'm going to recommend is anytime you're sitting in a chair for longer periods, and for most people I simply mean their car and their computer, I'm going to have you use a small rolled up support in your back in order to keep you in alignment with no effort. So let me turn my chair to the side and show you how this looks. So I'm going to have you get a small little cushion. I don't have a small one here, but that is plenty big. But there's a trick to this. So if I just took a cushion and I put it in my back, I'm probably going to feel better, but I'm not there yet. Let me show you. So once I put that in, I hit that. So you see I'm a little bit straighter than I was before, but my head is still forward of my body. And as long as my head is forward, I'm putting a lot of muscle strain up here. Without it, you see it's even worse. So the trick is to find a cushion that's thin so you can roll it to different thicknesses. Because every chair is going to require a different thickness because they're all built slightly different. So I'm going to guess my thickness around here, and I'm going to put it right in the small of my back here. Now it's crucial you get it in the small of the back. A lot of people put it too low or too high. So you can reach back there and you can feel two bones right back here. It goes right above it. In other words, this cushion should be resting right on top of those bones. This should not be touching the bottom of the chair whatsoever. Okay. So you see now my body's in perfect alignment. So the way you can tell this is actually quite simple. You can use the finger test. So you put your fingers by your ears and you come down you draw a straight line right down your shoulders. So if it goes right on top of your shoulders, right about where the seam of your shirt would be, then you're good. If, however, you're drawing a line and it comes here, well, your head is forward. So the trick is getting that just the right size. If it's too thick, your back is overarched and it kind of hurts. And if it's not thick enough, your head is forward. So again, you just make it thick enough, and sometimes you may have to adjust the pillow 2 or 3 times to get that. Your head is going to be out here if it's not thick enough. So just make it thick enough to bring your head right over your shoulders. So the next is the driving position. So most of us were taught to drive at 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock. So go ahead and do that for me. Just hold your arms in this position. Can you feel the muscle strain happening up here? Now imagine doing that for an hour. People drive like that for an hour every day. And then they wonder why they're tight and sore up here. So after doing this for a while, now bring your elbows right by your side so your hands are more at the 4 and 8 position. You notice the muscle strain go away. Here the muscles are not engaged. Here the muscles are engaged. Here the muscles are not engaged. So you can actually drive here for long periods of time with no pain because your muscles are not engaged, getting tight and sore. Now most states do teach their new drivers to drive down here at 4 and 8. And they don't do this for comfort. The reason they do it is for safety. They've found out that if you drive up here at 10 and 2, where most of us learn, and your airbags go off, you're going to get 2 rocks, that one and that one, shot out of a cannon, right here in your face. And of course, that won't be very good. But if you're at 4 and 8, and the airbags go off, your fists are going to end up here, which would be a much better scenario than ending up here. So I also tell people, though, if you don't feel safe driving at 4 and 8, it's far better to drive at 10 and 2, have sore shoulders, and be alive. But if you do feel safe driving at 4 and 8, this is far more ergonomic. Okay? Now, it's the exact same principle at your keyboard. As long as you're keeping your elbows in, you're not going to get so sore up here. Most people go to their keyboard, first thing they do is this. In other words, they reach for their keyboard. You see my elbow leave my body? As soon as it leaves, I've kicked in all these muscles holding up my arms. If I keep them right here, I will get no pain whatsoever up here. Okay, as long as my pillow is adjusted correctly. Now, the next problem becomes the mouse, and almost everybody holds their mouse incorrectly. Almost everybody does this. Or even worse, I've seen this. But even here, you see my elbow left my body. All of a sudden, all these muscles kicked in. And if I hold it there for any amount of time, they're going to get pretty tight and sore. But if I keep my elbow in and I pivot for the mouse, you see it's the exact same spot I was holding it before, except there's no strain up here now because my elbow is in. So it becomes keyboard, mouse. Keyboard, mouse. Those are the big 3. Simply doing those 3 slightly different will make sure half of your pain will not come back.